everybody, it's Georgia Weedman, author of Penetration Testing, a hands-on introduction to hacking, and your instructor for this accompanying lab. Well, this one kind of gives it away in the title. CVE, Common Vulnerability Exposure, 2015-6567. So, it also says that it gives us credentials this time to log in, Robert and password 1. So, let's have a go. Alright, IP adder. Let's pull this guy over so my head's not in the way. Again, your IP address will be different than mine. The target will be .3 and we're .2. I mean, we could probably skip this step of in-mapping because it's going to be the web server since we're in the web server section, but nonetheless. Alright, so let's take a look at this guy. Alright, you can't copy paste that way. Whoops. I kind of gave that one away, didn't I? All right. So forget you saw that. All right. So here's a Wolf CMS, and it doesn't just say the version number on here, which is I suppose why our CVE was given to us, but it's a good time to maybe use some exploit database. So all I did was Google that CVE number and exploit. I think, in terms of finding vulnerabilities, we spent a lot of time on that. So, I'll give you a pass on that one and say, okay. A good place to look, looking at NIST and CVE details, that'll give you, information, but we're interested in exploiting it. So, one, I put exploit in the Google search, and one of the things that comes up, exploit database, not a bad place to hang out if you're looking for exploits. But again, careful with those public exploits. You never really know. So Wolf CMS, and it's arbitrary file upload. So we should be able to upload files to this web server. And it says, so target site, Wolf CMS admin plugin, file manager, browse and log in, go to the page, select a file to upload, PHP file. So we do have some experience at uploading PHP files already, so let's see what we can do. The weird thing about this is that it's it doesn't have anywhere to log in, just on the main page. So when I first looked at it, I was just kind of what do I do now? But kind of just looking at this, Wolf CMS and then question mark admin, I just kind of thought, okay, maybe that will get me, if I try to access the admin, maybe it will force me to log in. So that's what I did. So question mark admin. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. If you run a WordPress site, it's kind of the same deal, right? You go to the admin and then it forces you to log in. And, looking back on here, Robert password 1. Nobody should use password 1 as their password, but we will look at password attacks as soon as we're done with exploitation. We've got a couple more of those to do. But anyhow, all right, so Robert should change his password. Don't need to save the password, and this takes a second. This is the only time I've seen the lab have any lag at all is on this one. So I'm gonna blame it on the Wolf CMS because in general the lab is so super fast. But anyway, while that logs in, it looks like we want to go to the file manager, and this is I've mentioned the Tomcat one a couple times. There's a lot of things that once you're admin, you can put in pages, but actually it looks like this one, every registered user who has access to the upload functionality can upload it. So, Robert may not necessarily be supposed to be an admin, but it lets Robert be an admin for this particular functionality. Anyway, okay. Because, if you look at it, we're Robert, and it just has pages, it doesn't, it's just Robert. I don't see that they're necessarily an admin. At least according to the CVE, they're actually not an admin. But if we go to, it looks like we can just go to the file manager here. That looks, pretty similar to the URL here. We don't have the Wolf CMS part, but it looks like, it's just at the root. Because otherwise it looks right. So you might have to do a little guess and check there. Oh, well, I already did this one, so let me delete that. All right. So, we just have the option upload a file. Browse. Again, I made it way too easy. So if we just go to like the computer and user, we saw this in a previous example. There are backdoors. We could build our own. We could use the MSF Venom one we did that was PHP based. I mean, as long as it's PHP based, it should be fine. So user share web shells, which starts with a W. Oh, they're upside down. That's what's confusing me. All right, websploit. Let's make this as hard as possible, shall we? Web shells and PHP. And the one we used previously, simple backdoor, I like that one. It's simple. Simple is nice. So upload. And now the question is, like, where is the file? And when I was first doing this one, I failed to, like, take into account it actually says right here, public, because I was trying to go to, like, I tried, simple backdoor .php, and of course it's not there. I was like, well, maybe it needs the question mark. And if I could type a question mark, no, I can't find that either. But again, if you look back at, whoops, it actually says that we're in public, so it looks like we need public and then simple backdoor .php, and there is our simple backdoor. It's nice and it gives us how to use it. So question mark for the parameter, and we could do who am I, or command equals who am I, www-data again. So good. That's a good security finding there, that we only have very limited privileges on this guy. We can't get Etsy password. If we tried, like if I did a cat Etsy password, we might be able to get password, but I doubt it. Yeah, we'll get password, but it won't get, like I mentioned in a previous video, Etsy Shadow is where the passwords actually are. So, we're not able to access Etsy Shadow because we are www-data. But for this one, we actually just want to get the flag, which is in, its typical place of, unless it says otherwise on a Linux system in the lab, I'm pretty sure, as soon as I say this, it's going to come up somewhere else. But I believe they're all just in temp flag. Sure enough, there we go, temp flag. So main issue here is that just a regular user, I mean, you can, if we look back, we look here, like the CVE itself, we can get more information about it. Well, not really. Allows unrestricted file upload and execution. It doesn't validate the file name properly. It just requires a registry user who has access to the upload functionality. Like, you don't have to be an admin per se, and it will work. So, kind of gave it away with the CVE number, but again, you guys have some experience finding vulnerabilities for now. So, yeah, kind of a simple one there. But yeah, really just follow what it says in the exploit database, or, any other exploit file you can find online, and do what it says, and you should get your flag. So that's all for that one, and see you guys next time.